We're almost exactly 1 year on from the tragic anniversary of the death of Michael Brown back in Ferguson. About 1 year ago, over the weekend, demonstrations were going on, vigils, people looking back on the legacy 1 year on from his death, the protests, the continuing movement that was spawned, not just from that event, but was certainly accelerated perhaps by the national attention to that event. And so many people are wondering, how much progress have we actually had, if any, since then, which we're going to get to in just a second. But unfortunately, it was marred by some violence, which sprung up in Ferguson. St. Louis County Police Chief John Belmar said plainclothes officers had been tracking the suspect, this man who we're going to talk about who did commit a shooting, who they believed was armed. The man then approached the officers who were in an unmarked police car and opened fire. The officers returned fire from inside the vehicle and pursued the suspect on foot. The suspect's identity has not been released, but he has been listed in critical, unstable condition. 4 officers involved in this shooting were placed on administrative leave. So we know very little at this point, as we're broadcasting live, about who it was, why they did what they did. Was this a member of the movement? Was this somebody trying to make the movement look bad? Perhaps we will know soon once they reveal a little bit about this person. But unfortunately, it was, regardless of their motivation, it has marred a time that I think should be used for some introspection in terms of where we're at with our culture, with the police culture, how little progress it seems that we've had in a lot of different ways just in the past few months. I mean, we could go back through the list of names of the tragic killings, either of unarmed people on the street, of people in their cells. It doesn't really seem like we've moved that far, considering that we're a year on from that horrific event in Ferguson.
If we could just get the police to stop shooting unarmed people.
That'd be a good start.
That's where I would start. You get to abuse people, you get to arrest them unlawfully. They'll see a courtroom if they don't die in prison.
Yeah.
But just don't shoot people who aren't armed. That should be a law, that you can't shoot someone who's not armed. That should be the law. He doesn't have a gun, you can't use a gun. Well, he had a knife, then you stab him. You shoot a taser at him. Call 6 more guys. Yeah. You don't get to shoot someone if they don't have a gun. You're not supposed to be able to. So there's a thing, where that football player in Florida State. So we were talking about how he could get in trouble when that girl slapped him and he punched her. You can't use more force back than was used on you.
Yeah. If he'd been a cop, would he have shot her in that instance?
He could have shot her and got away with it. Why does that law not apply to cops?
Yeah.
So so all he has to say is, I was afraid for my life when I shoot. And apparently they're hiring the scaredest, most paranoid motherfuckers in the world to be cops these days, which they are.
Yeah. And we've been reading that there's this, I apologize, I don't have his name at the front of my mind right now, but there's a police psychologist who goes around defending the cops, and his training of them apparently seems to indicate that they should shoot first. If you fear at all for your safety, not even for your life, shoot. I will defend you. You'll probably get off. That is the pattern that we've seen, is well established at this point. Yeah, and it seems like we've seen instances. Again, these names are so hard to remember when we cover so many all the time. We had the video that someone took on their cell phone of a guy who'd been pulled over for a traffic stop. He got out and he began to run. And so the cop shot him in the back and killed him.
Shot him.
Look, we don't want people to get away from the police or to get away with speeding. You can't kill a person for that.
You don't get to be the judge, jury, and executioner for a traffic violation.
Yeah. If somebody litters, you can't kill that person, even if they're going to get away with the littering.
Even if they're going to get away.
We saw finally the footage. It was a guy that was killed after his car accident back in, I believe, 2013. They said that he attacked the police. The video shows, no, he begins to run past the police. So they begin shooting, and they do not stop shooting until they have no more bullets to shoot at him. If he'd gotten away, there are worse things that could happen in the world, like killing him.
Yes. Yeah, again.
But this lesson is apparently evades cops, even a year on from the death of Michael Brown.
And so now this shooting in Ferguson yesterday, where apparently there were 4 undercover cops, and some guy opened on fire on these undercover cops. Boy, what a coinky-dink, huh?
That he happened to shoot at the undercover cops.
Coinky-dink. Of all the people he's going to shoot at, it happens to be 4 undercover cops. What a coinky-dink was that? So I want to know what happened in this situation, because I don't believe what the cops say for 1 second, especially in Ferguson.
Yes.
We know those cops are all criminals. We know that for a fact. The Justice Department said there was that was nothing but a generating revenue machine on the backs of poor people who couldn't defend themselves.
And we saw that this is the sort of petty shit they do. There was one of the Missouri Police Department's Facebook pages had established it was Darren Wilson Day.
Darren Wilson Day.
Yeah. We want you to look back and to try to learn something from this experience. You're looking back, don't think you've learned much at this point. But a year on from the death of Michael Brown, we now know 53 teens have been killed by cops since then. And this is what's tragic. In America, I thought it would have been higher, considering how many people we kill. Thankfully, the people we kill are more rarely teens. But of the 53 people documented, 22 were white, 21 black, 9 Latino, and 1 Native American. 5 were women. In 10 cases, the officer has already been cleared. In the rest, the investigation was marked ongoing. We have something like 700 people so far this year killed by police. If this is progress from last year, I can't imagine where we would have been if Michael Brown hadn't died.